Greetings, YouTube viewers and fellow Final Fantasy fans. This is Final Fantasy Fan 012 here, and welcome to my very first live stream on my YouTube channel. And now, who I have with me is Fizz Chozo from the
Hello,
UN Space
everybody.
Fleet Wolf Squadron. I mean, you already introduced yourself there. Sorry, but anyway, now I have done a Q&A stream at least 5 years ago, but I honestly wasn't very proud of it, so I thought I would do Q&A videos, at least in the format of a live stream, and may or may not have some special guests involved, at least if my channel grows. But still, if you know how Q&A works, you would basically ask a question, and I would pretty much give an answer on what question you asked. Simple as that. And without further ado, I'll get straight to the questions. And Fizz will be the one with the questions here. So go ahead, Fizz. Any questions you'd like to
Okay,
ask me?
I'm speaking to someone who never played a single Final Fantasy video game my entire life because I never had a video game console
Hmm. Oh,
or
really?
PC or PC capable of playing the game because my
Hmm.
parents are cheap. Now, now, what is there a through line through the Final Fantasy games? Is there a through line?
There a through line?
Yeah,
Hmm. Oh,
I
yeah, I'm
know
not
it's
sure.
anthology. Basically, each game is some different plot entirely, different set of characters. But
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
all
Unless if
but
it's
all,
a
all,
unless if it's like a tie-in to something like like a sequel like Tactics Advance or Tactics Advance 2, or even if they're prequels like Before Crisis and Crisis Core Final Fantasy 7, of course.
are they set in the same world or are they in different worlds?
They are set in different worlds. It is pretty much like a fan theory that a lot of the Final Fantasy worlds are pretty much connected, but they're still pretty much, I mean, as evidence from Dissidia and Final Fantasy 14, but still they're pretty much like their own separate universes and separate worlds. While some of the world's names would be kept the same, like whenever there's a Final Fantasy game that's set in the world of Ivalice, like Final Fantasy Tactics or Final Fantasy 12, or if they are actually just completely different altogether. But
Are there people travel between worlds in Final Fantasy?
I mean, I beg your pardon.
Are there people who travel between worlds in Final Fantasy?
Traveling between worlds.
Like Magic the Gathering or something?
Hmm,
All the people do that, like Planeswalker?
not necessarily. No. There might be some
Okay.
time travel elements, like if it's set in their different worlds, like the infamous time loop plotline in Final Fantasy One that Garland set up at the end of the game, and then he becomes Chaos. But nah, not necessarily.
Okay. Um also want to ask in regards to in regards to Final Fantasy games, which was the first one to have an actual plot? Because I know these games been coming out since the 90s.
I mean, they had their plots. They definitely did.
The first one to have an actual plot. Which was that?
I mean, it's pretty much like pretty much your player, like, it's pretty much like almost like your adventure because your four party members are basically your player avatars. There is still pretty much a plot going on there. Like, there are four crystals that are fading out because of them.
No. I'm not talking. I'm talking about one that have an actual detailed storyline. Which was the first one?
Oh, which is the first one to actually have a detailed plot line? Hmm. People would pretty much like to say at least somewhere around Final Fantasy VII, probably. I mean, at least with when Tetsuya Nomura's involved. I mean, of course, he is very infamous with making a lot of complex storylines, especially with Kingdom Hearts that everybody likes to poke fun at, and pretty much make it even more complicated than it already sounds, which pretty much drove a lot of people away to not even playing it because of that. But I mean, depending on who you ask, it pretty much would be seven or probably somewhere in the SNES Final Fantasy games, like Final Fantasy VI, probably.
Okay. Yeah, because I know the first video game to have a detailed plot line was Ninja Gaiden,
Mm.
the original 2D ones.
Mm. Anyway, um, but is any other questions?
Mm, Now, I think I forgot the concept of your fantasy book novel you're trying to write.
Ah, yes. I mean, it's pretty much the plot line to Final Fantasy One. Instead of crystals being involved, it's just the whole world has been shrouded in the darkness. But now, five warriors, five knights that are chosen to be the warriors of light from one kingdom are chosen by a light entity to save the world from the darkness. Yeah, save the world that's been plunged in the darkness by a darker entity who has
Okay,
who has
okay,
darker abetitors who take the forms of the seven deadly sins.
got that.
Right.
Okay, got that. The darker entity is what? What's it called?
Oh, oh, the name of the darker entity, you mean?
Mm,
His name is Andhera, which is darkness in Hindi.
oh, okay, okay. So
Uh,
so kind of a Sauron type character.
well, pretty much, kinda. I mean, I
Yeah,
see him more
Sauron.
similar. I mean, I see him more so how I written him is more so a bit like chaos in Final Fantasy One, like or like in Dissidia, where he is the darker entity. I mean, even though in Final Fantasy One he's basically a souped up version of Garland and is the final boss of the game, because Dissidia represents Final Fantasy One through three characters, which is hold on, my avatar, the Warrior of Light, which is based on the warrior class from the original game. Um, Garland, who is the actual main antagonist of the game, and Chaos.
Okay, okay. Like, also, I'm trying to figure out things here. Okay, so seven deadly sins are these actual characters or characters based around the seven deadly sins, or are these just kind of mindless demons that just have be associated with that
I mean,
sin?
they. I mean, they are. I mean, they are characters that are associated with the sin. Their real names are actually the seven virtues, because with every sin, there's the corresponding virtue. They have the virtues as their real names, but when they get consumed by the darkness, by Antera, by giving them dark weapons, they pretty much become pretty much the sin, which both of their names are named after their respective virtues and sins in the French language.
Okay, but I'm asking you, like, is it more of like a Shazam movie approach where they don't have no personality beyond just being destructive, or is it like Full Metal Alchemist approach where they just where they actually have full on personalities?
I mean, they pretty
What's the
much
sin like
have.
the main plot?
I mean, they pretty much have their personalities, which is pretty much based on their sin. Like one of the other villains, Vierte, who is the sin of pride, because because Vierte in French means pride. Of course, he's going to be much more prideful. He's going to be more so like the Loki-ish kind of character, pretty much. Even though his design is based on Emperor Mateus, the main antagonist of Final Fantasy II, because of course with my love of Final Fantasy. But so of course he is going to be prideful. He is going to be much more like he is going to be a huge bastard. And whenever
He's super
he's
vain.
in those, huh?
Is he super vain?
Super vain. Mm, what does it mean to be? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what does it mean to be vain.
He's he's fascinated with his own beauty, and
I mean, he is an elf. I mean, there are fantasy races in there. I mean, of course, it is a fantasy, but he is an
mm,
elf. But so he doesn't like bask in his own beauty, but he basks more so in his own, his own pride. But he is also, when things don't pretty much go his way, he begins to grow more impatient.
Okay. Okay. And the heroes, the five heroes.
Ah, yes, the five warriors of light. I mean, were you about to ask me about them?
Yeah, I'm asking about them.
Okay, so the five heroes of light. Um, yeah, they are based on their respective elements, which are earth, fire, wind, water, and thunder. And they are actually from one kingdom. And I made them this way because of how much they feel more so as like pretty much a family that has grown up there. So, I mean, of course, they have Photia. I mean, they're named after their respective elements in the Greek language, actually. And so, fire, thunder, and wind, Photia, Asrapi, and Animos. These three characters, they are brothers, with Photia being the oldest and Animos being the youngest, especially within the whole team. I mean, Photia, he's not like the oldest of the entire team. He's the oldest of his brothers, but the oldest being Gi, who's the Light Warrior of Earth.
I don't want to know about their personalities. Are their
I mean,
personalities based off the element, is it entirely separate?
I mean, it is pretty much like a bit based on their elements, but it can be, yeah, it is pretty much based on their elements. Like Photia, for example, with him being the sin of, or no, not the sin, the Light Warrior of Fire. Um,
He's hot blooded.
well, no, he's not like the aggressive type of fire a lot of people associate with, but he's more so the gentle fire, the where he's comforting to be around because of his warm heart. He is a nobleman.
Oh, oh, he's the heart. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he is the aspirational leader of the team, and plus, he is the leader of the Knights of Edoismos, at least within the events of the story. Not on my D&D campaign, because that will be the origins of the brothers. But his brother, his second, the middle child of his brothers, Astrapi, he's pretty much more so of the trickster of the team. I mean, it's not
Althropi is
like
what element?
he's thunder.
Oh,
It, he is pretty much like he does care about his brothers. He does care about, yeah, he does care about both his brothers. I mean, he doesn't really care about being the leader because he just likes to do things his own way. And how he does things his way is he likes to get things done fast, which that's why he's associated with thunder. And plus, he is a ladies' man. He likes women.
hmm, okay.
I mean, the maids always like fawn over him every single time. um,
Mhm.
and he can be a bit of a show off because he does. My intention from how he writes, from how he fights, he does like to use specific types of sword tricks, and plus his battle stances, he holds a sword in reverse grip, and so
Mhm.
I mean he can come off as a bit snarky. He does like to tease with his younger brother a lot, and um and he does like to set up specific tricks of playing with his own enemies, um, or even using the entire area around him to pretty much get to the goal, to pretty much, yeah, get to that specific goal in order to get there fast. Anyway, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much why he is a trickster. Animos, the youngest of the brothers and the youngest of the team, he is pretty much the emotional center of the team. He plays as the heart of the team, at least within the five-man band archetype. I mean, he is the more youthful, like the most youthful of the team. Um, as he's pretty much more so like the child that's a part of the story, that's reading the story. He does look up to his older brother Fotia. I mean, they train together pretty much a lot because he aspires to be exactly like him. He aspires to be exactly like Fotia, similar to how Fotia aspires to be more like Gi, because Gi, the Earth Light Warrior, he is the gentle giant of the team. He is the father figure of the team. I mean, um, in spite of he is pretty much like the big guy of the team. He is also, and plus his weapon is a claymore. Originally, it was about to be a buster sword, but then I thought, yeah, we're gonna stick with the claymore. But and he is ridiculously looks ridiculously strong. Mean, of course, by his design, I intentionally designed him to have like showing off like his muscles from his arms, because of course, big, heavy, and now I know Leia asked me about this, and one time during when I was on the one of Wolf 10 streams. Um, the Light Warriors, they are pretty much aspirational heroes. The only bit of cathartic motivational heroes that you're ever gonna get in the team is Nero Osophos, the Light Warrior of Water. The reason why he is a more of a cathartic motivational character is because my intention for this character is that he's meant to be written as almost like similar to Batman. I mean, their origins are pretty parallel. Like they both lost their parents, but he lost his parents when he was 18. So he was already a knight, and so um, he didn't want anyone else to suffer from that exact same loss that his parents gave him. That or no, not his gave him. That was thrusted upon him after losing his parents. So what does he do to do that? By trying to get smarter, by trying to find other situations around, by actually growing more
So he's
knowledgeable.
the brains of the team.
Yeah, he is the tactician of the team, and since he is pretty much like more the Batman of the team, Guy once again playing as the father figure of the team, he pretty much is the one who did pretty much keep him grounded to like keep in touch.
And
But
what is air?
oh, Animos, it was
Animal.
on Animos, yeah.
Animal
Anyways, yeah,
is what personality?
he's Wind. Oh,
No, what personality?
what his personality? He's the heart of the team. He's the more youthful of the team. He's the
Oh,
youthful, yeah, because he is the youngest. Anyway, um,
okay.
any other questions?
No.
Oh no. Mm. Oh yeah, I would like.
And is there anybody else? I mean, yeah, do you have any views in videos? I mean, I don't watch the channel yet. I watch.
I mean, oh, have I done any videos?
Mm,
Yes.
yeah.
I
I mean, my channel is getting views on my live streams either, but still, at the same, yeah, at the same time, there's a little like literally nobody hears of us.
hmm.
Then again, I had that same thing, kind of thing too.
Right.
No, I wonder when I'm just wondering when layers showing up.
Mm. Right. Mm-mm. I also do like to explain the D&D campaign that's set before the main events of the novel.
Well, what
Um,
edition are you using?
what edition?
Mm.
I did pretty much like set up my own, pretty much the battle system I set up for this challenge, which I will get the book. I will be right with you in just a minute.
Oh wow. I'm just rambling right now to dead air. Trying to continue on reading Berserk.
All right, I got the book here. All right, and so if Eloise might actually join, because I would pretty much have to explain how the battle system is pretty much played. She already got the gist of I think she did say she got the gist of the what the thing is in terms of the story, but I would pretty much need to explain on how the system works. Even though I have sent images of that, but she's more of a visual type of person, what she already told me. But all right, so I already have these three separate character sheets pretty much signed up. here, which are these are basically it's called Light and Darkness: The Three Kingdoms, and so of course it is set before the events, and this is you don't have to know the events of the campaign in order to know the novel. This is pretty much like for people who really want some extended lore on the story. And so this is pretty much like the creation of the world, um, the long history of the Three Kingdoms, this lifelong battle with the orcs, because they have been fighting them throughout history. And
The Fangs races. Wow, that ain't another question. And Fangs races in world. Explain the Fangs races.
I mean, it's pretty much set to. I mean, I did explain. We only see like two separate races in, or no, three races. We get them the humans, which are pretty much most of the cast, including the five Warriors of Light. I mean, not counting Lux and Antera because they're pretty much already beings of light and darkness respectively. We get elves and the orcs.
Okay, explain elves in your setting. Like, is that what's the lore behind the elves? It's just it's
I
just
mean,
generic token stuff.
they are pretty much like pretty much Tolkien stuff, though they can pretty much how I intentionally there are only like two elves that are Antera's pawns in his scheme, which are avidity, which is the sin of greed, and fierte, and the sin of pride. They pretty much fall to their own. Um, they're pretty much more deceitful. Like um, fierte, she would she pretty much joined the forces of darkness because she was. It was all an attempt to try to find, or no, try to get her her child back because of because she did work as a nurse, but because of an incurable disease, she tried as much as she tried so much, she failed to do it. And so she's trying, and so she pretty much, basically, in all intents and purposes, made the deal with the devil in order to try to get her child back. But as Fierte, it pretty much comes from a place of hatred from um, pretty much towards everyone who just like turned him down due to um, pretty much due to what he pretty much did, which is mostly whichever they say they call a very stupid act or something like pretty much a more stupider act because of his own publicity. That's when pretty much caused his own downfall. So he's trying to get back at those who wronged him. So how the Warriors of Darkness are basically formed for Antera, it's either they joined him because of something that they've lost or just because out of spite, that's when they want to take revenge on the world.
Mm, okay, okay. I have no further questions now.
Mm,
Like what the orcs created by the darkness? I forgot.
yes. It was
Uh,
specific. It was specifically made to for Antera just to spite Lux because they pretty much like made the world together. But um, it was pretty much due to their differences in their worldviews. That's when they pretty much caused a conflict, and that's when the battle between struggling battle between the light and darkness had begun. And so, just to spite him, he created the orcs, and he didn't intentionally tell them. He didn't. Um, so he made them to actually conquer the whole world, and so that's when the orcs seek out for a conquest to basically destroy and rebuild the world up into their own image. And so,
mm,
but they would constantly fail to the three kingdoms constantly due to their hubris. I mean, they are gluttons for dominance. Um, which is why the leader of the orcs, Gormondes, is gluttony. But anyway, but what else was I going with here? Anyway, oh yeah, the character sheets. I mean, first, I mean, I already Leia. Brian and Schooner have already picked out the kingdoms that they wanted to participate to be a part of. There are no particular races involved in because it's pretty much just them being involved in the story. But and so it will be based on evasion from it is going to be turn based and it's going to be based on evasion from highest to lowest. But first, the player would have to choose on which kingdom they like to be a part of. Like if they chose the kingdom of Iroismos and decide to be a knight, or if they join the kingdom of Dikiosin to become a paladin, or the kingdom of Alithia to become a mage. And so, and now I will explain the system now. Alright, so now I'm going to be reading off here. Each player, including the enemies, will take turns based on evasion, which will be highest to lowest. And the player will either choose to attack the enemy, block an enemy attack, or use healing herb if just in case if someone ever needs it, or use one of their key mechanics. Each player each gets 9 healing herbs. Like Brian gets 9 healing herbs, Leia gets 9 healing herbs, and Schooner gets 9 healing herbs. You get the gist here. But it will also be based on the ABC order from not only highest to lowest, but also based on ABC order based on their names on whichever kingdom they're involved in. But anyway, so of course with the highest evasion, the mages of Alithia get to go first. So of course I did make examples on how pretty much based on their attacks, like say if they choose attack, which is the mage's attacks is usually a 7 plus a d8, and if it came up as a 1, it comes up as an 8, and so the orc pretty much takes about 8 damage. Or if they choose to use one of the... And they have 2 separate types of spells, which are attack spells and support spells, which I will show how they will work. So, or offensive spells and supportive spells. So, if they choose a support spell, it would select a different. It uses a different stat of which would they be using, which only lasts for one round, lasts on one level. There are only 3 levels in the game. So, heal increases the health until their health is full, obviously. Speed increases evasion. Strength increases their defense, or no, their attack. Yeah, strength increases their attack, specifically this number right there, that number. And protect increases...
I gotta go. This is texting my phone. So
Oh, okay. Okay. Anyway, so just for those who are watching with the backwatch, heal increases their HP, obviously. Speed increases their evasion. Strength increases their attack. And protect increases their defense. Hence, and it's actually increases from a D10. So if it came up as heal, and if I roll a D10 and the D10 did actually come up as a 10, it would heal their HP exactly by 10 to whatever the D10 die. Yeah, the D10 actually came up with. But if they choose an offense spell, one of the attack spells, excuse me. Actually, before Fizz ever comes back, I would basically we'll take an intermission for just one moment before he comes back. So, let you guys. So we'll be taking an intermission. Alright, back from the intermission. I mean, as Fizz is not already joining the stream now, but he is there in the chat. Oh, he may be up in the stream eventually, but he did ask questions here. With a channel named Final Fantasy Fan 012, I thought there would be lots of video essays on Final Fantasy, but apparently no. Yeah, I never really thought about doing essays on that, but I have planned on doing a series of Final Fantasy videos on this. So here's actually what it is. All right, this actually is a good time to actually announce some of the stuff that I'm doing now. There is actually a series on my channel that I'm planning on doing, which I already got the script done, and now I will eventually upload it somewhere probably by next week. But it is actually called Final Fantasy Rules. And basically what the series is that I will explain the different classes and summons and also the staples throughout the Final Fantasy series and what roles do they pretty much play as. And I am pretty much starting off with the classes before I could eventually get to the summons, so which I might as well actually split it up into seasons though. So yeah, season 1 will be the classes, then season 2 will be the summons, and then the third season, which pretty much should be at least the final season of that, which would be the staples throughout the series. So, and the first 8 episodes of the series will be the classes in the very first game. It's not going to go from the classes in order of appearance, but these are just pretty much like the first 8 episodes, because of course, what better way to start off than Final Fantasy 1? And the first episode will be the Black Mage. And so basically, yeah, throughout the first season, I will explain the classes of basically what they are, what their abilities are, what armor and weapons they can equip, and what are pretty much their abilities, their looks, and their appearance throughout the entire Final Fantasy series. Aside from the mainline Final Fantasy series, I will also include spin-offs, which are some of the most peculiar spin-offs I picked out. Most peculiar spin-offs. So I'm not counting any of the mobile games like Record Keeper, Brave Exvius, Mobius, or some of the other spin-offs, or even their outside appearances. That's outside Final Fantasy, like Kingdom Hearts, Octopath Traveler, Bravely Default, and as much as I know, everyone loves Bravely Default, but still not counting that. But still, this is just like Final Fantasy exclusive only. But the peculiar spin-offs I'm including in there mostly include Tactics, Type Zero, what other spin-offs? World of Final Fantasy, Crystal Chronicles, and the other Final Fantasy spin-offs I included. I am including the sequels and prequels to the mainline Final Fantasy series. So yeah, that's pretty much like gonna be that. And this will work for the summons, but for the staples in the series, I'm specifically gonna be that pretty much would work in the series and pretty much when they appeared in. So yeah. But some of the other stuff that I'd like to announce. Some of the other stuff. I already announced about the D&D campaign, but what else is there to talk about? I'm actually working on a recap series which I simply called it Video Game Recap, or VGR, where I look at specific video games and try to recap them as best way I can, and I will also tell them in a visual novel format. And I am working on one right now, though it's not going to be the very first episode of my series. Though it will be the very first episode will be Final Fantasy 1, because of course what better way to start off than Final Fantasy 1. But the one I'm currently working on right now is actually the Metal Gear recap. And so yeah, I'm pretty much like about at least like halfway through the Metal Gear recap. I still need to write it down. There's a lot of stuff that happens, so of course a lot of stuff is going to be cut out. Like most of the characters are going to be cut out. Most of the other plot lines are going to be cut out. And though I'm still pretty much going to tell the entire series from pretty much its prologue and then all the way up to the end, which is up till Metal Gear Rising. So yeah. But if you do want any videos on essays about Final Fantasy Fizz, I do recommend you do watch the YouTube channel called Birds of Play, which they basically are a YouTube channel that basically focuses on a lot of Final Fantasy content for the most part. I mean, it's a lot of Final Fantasy content, which I will show you the channel. And I will put the channel in the description. Sorry, sounds. I didn't want to play the sounds. Anyway, that. And there we go. Alright, I got the channel post it if you do want to check it out. Anyway, but what else is there? Hmm. Oh, make sure I get that YouTube tab out of the way. And anyway, what else is there to talk about? Still need to explain the pretty much. Actually, I pretty much would explain the D&D campaign if Fizz may as well come back on the stream, or maybe if Leia might join on the stream by some time. Actually, I'll be right back with you guys in a moment. Sorry that I took a pretty short appearance for the second time on the stream, but I am gonna take a a quick bathroom break, and I'll be right back with you guys in less than a moment. Well, I guess there's nothing else to talk about. Anyway, so I think that about does it for the stream. And that pretty much about does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, click like and subscribe and share with your family and friends. And make sure you ring that notification bell. That way you get notified of the latest uploads. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Final Fantasy Fan 12 signing off. And remember, may the light forever shine upon us.